The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on November 29th, 2022.
It's time now for Business Matters Radio with Maui Chamber of Commerce President Pam Tumpop. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning, Gary. Thank you so much for always being there for us for Business Matters and being our great studio technician and resident expert in keeping everything together. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was excellent.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear it. Well, folks, we are thrilled to be back after Thanksgiving. We hope it was a wonderful time for you and your family. And welcome you to the Business Matters radio show. It's sponsored by Mokulele Airlines. And I'm your host, Pamela Tumpop, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce. Today, we're going to speak to Hazel Beck, and Hazel is an amazing leader with the SBA, and we're going to talk to Tasha about the importance of dealing with our housing crisis and getting roofs overhead. It's really important at this time that we start addressing the importance of, the crisis that we face. This is the holiday season. Weather is getting cold, and it's really time that we start understanding and addressing the challenges that many people face and are living on the streets these days. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first, I want to introduce Hazel Beck. Hazel has worked for a range of companies to help optimize their operations and improve their profits. She is a visionary with unique business insights, highly developed leadership and communication skills and talents for strategic planning. She has a dual perspective, both corporate and small businesses, and has the ability to motivate and lead her team to ensure customer-focused, value-added results. She has worked in many different regions. She's also served as the VBOC director in Chicago, serving Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, working with our veterans. And now she has taken her leadership. She also served as the West Hawaii Small Business Development Center, working there and meeting with people in Hawaii, living on Hawaii Island. And now Hazel works for the Hawaii Small Business Administration. And so she is a dynamo. She is the Deputy District Director of the U.S. Small Business Administration, but they are located, the district office is in Honolulu. Good morning, Hazel, and welcome to the show again.
Good morning, Pam, and I'm thrilled to be here. Aloha to everyone.
Aloha. Well, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, and we greatly value our partnership with you and Valerie of the SBA and, of course, Mark Spain. But I know that he has put you in charge of neighbor islands, and you are rocking and rolling to educate people about SBA programs and help as many businesses as possible.
Well, thanks so much, Pam, and I also like to recognize the work that you do as the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And thank you again for your hospitality at the end of August when the administrator for the SBA was able to come to Hawaii for the first time, and we spent a day on Maui. I made sure that we would get a chance to go and visit some of our SBA small business winners, but we started off with a great visit at your office. So thank you again for that.
Oh, it was our great pleasure. Isabella Guzman was wonderful to have on site, and she is just a treasure with a lot of experience in helping small businesses. I was really surprised. I wasn't surprised, I guess, by her level of experience because I had read that online, but I was surprised at so many wonderful questions and insights that she asked that correlated between different industries and just a broad vision like you, where she could, she was quickly assessing all of the data that we were sharing and making connections.
Oh, exactly. And it continued for the rest of the day. We enjoyed meeting the Maui Cookie Lady in your office, and we spent some time with Scott Loomer out at Hawaii Trust. And so we just had an amazing day. But again, I thank you for the hospitality.
It was our great pleasure. Thank you so much for arranging all of that and for bringing her here to Maui. We are all very grateful for all the work that you do. And on that level, on my gratitude, I want to thank you. I know that you and Valerie, who heads the marketing of the SBA, the district office, you two were so interested in the Made in Maui County Festival that you made it a point on your own expense to fly over to participate in this year's Made in Maui County Festival. And when you heard I was sick and wasn't going to be there, the two of you offered to serve and generously spent your time assisting us with the festival and jumping right in to help and serve. Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, you're so welcome. I want to give a shout out to Amber. What an amazing job. She stepped right up and took over, and Val and I were her wing women. So we had a great time at the festival, and it was such a wonderful collection of small businesses of every kind.
Yes. Well, and thank you for sharing that. We don't call Amber Chief Chamber Angel for nothing. She is a superstar and often doesn't get recognized. She's the one holding down the fort when I'm in meetings and doing projects like this and in testimony and other things. But she's awesome. And I know that you made a great effort to, as you were there, and connecting with all of the festival vendors, getting to meet some of our festival vendors, and some exciting things. We have a really exciting story to tell this morning with you connecting with Mime Furniture, one of our new chamber members and a first-time festival vendor.
Well, let me just say it was towards the end of the day, and I did make my way, Val and I, around the festival several times so that we could stop and chat with various business owners. But I came around a corner and came upon the tent for Mime Furniture, and there was a rocking chair sitting there that just took my breath away. And it was very interesting and unique in that it was 1.5 times as wide as a normal rocking chair. So, I walked up to Marty Carousel, the co-founder, and I started chatting with him about the chair, and also met Jeff Sullivan, who is the lead wood craftsman for Mime Furniture. But we spent a fair amount of time with them in their tent. I mean, the wood furniture items that they had were beautiful. They had some charcuterie boards, they had cutting boards, but they also had side tables and coffee tables that were in the hairpin leg style with beautiful wooden tops. So it's very mid-century looking furnishings. So we had a great time chatting with them, listening to about, their plans and their ideas, but the furniture was absolutely gorgeous.
It is. Yeah, it really is. And all made by local woods.
That's the beauty of it. Made by local wood and made in the more traditional way. They were very proud of the fact that there are no nails, that it's all dowels and glue, and so things were done the way things used to be done, and it shows in the quality of the product. But they had some beautiful things there, and we had a long chat about business, and we gave them some suggestions of people that they could talk to and connected them to a manufacturing assistance program. So there was a lot of good information that flowed on the day and a lot of information that has flowed since then. And I'd really like to give a shout out to the Maui Small Business Development Center for the role that they're playing in working with Mime Furniture, and Wayne Wong, Pat Diaz, and the amazing Fred Riker. And they are also involved in assisting Mime Furniture on their journey to success.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the manufacturing program you shared with them, because this is just from the festival, which was on the 4th and 5th, and I think you were there on the 4th. This is blossoming into a really phenomenal success story.
Well, it is, and I think it's the Hawaii Technical Development Center is the one that's administering the Manufacturing Assistance Program grant, and it offers Hawaii-based manufacturers up to a 20% reimbursement, up to a figure of $100,000 on qualified expenses to help Hawaii manufacturers become globally competitive, because I'm sure that's on the radar screen for them as well. So this is a great program that we were aware of, and so we connected them to HTDC, and they'll have an opportunity to work through that program as well. For more information, if you're interested on learning more about the Manufacturing Assistance Program, the website for the HTDC is htdc.org. So your listeners can take a look at that when they have a moment. I think one of the things, too, that we quickly appreciated about Mime Furniture is sometimes when business owners are in the business, they got their heads down doing the work, they move themselves out to an island of one. And by that I mean they move out to that island, and they start to feel like they're the only one experiencing the challenges that they're having. They're the only one that has some of the hiccups or bumps in their manufacturing process. So they basically put a fence, if you can imagine this, around the island of one. So they don't want any help. They don't ask for any help. They don't need anybody, and they think they have to face all these challenges alone. What I like about working with Jeff and Marty is both of them realize that you can't move to an island of one. What you have to do is build a village around your business.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're doing. They've reached out to you, Pam, at the Chamber. They've reached out to us at the SBA. They've reached out to the Small Business Development Center. They're now reaching out to HTDC. So this is the way to do it. Find as many resources that can assist you as possible, and talk about your business to anybody that'll listen. Because each of you as small business owners have a compelling story. Share your story, talk story with others, whether those are networking and professional organizations, whether those are friends and family, whether those are other business owners. But share your story, because you don't know when you talk story who's listening in that audience, and who do they know that may be able to find you that next piece of financing, or may be able to find you a deal on a piece of land that you're looking at to expand the business. So Jeff and Marty are pretty good at building a village. I'm impressed.
Well, I'll tell you, they've been coming to Hawaii for a long time and moved here, and they made some connections very early on. When I first met them, they said to me, "Well, do you know this person?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, he's helping us get wood." And "Do you know this person?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, we're buying their equipment." And they are really great. First of all, they're really wonderful men. So much fun to be around. Yes. So exciting and knowledgeable. And their vision is to create this furniture industry here. Again, as you mentioned, using old-time manufacturing practices, but to create new and meaningful jobs in woodworking with stunning furniture designs and innovative stuff. They're looking to innovate, and we first started really connecting through the Chamber, and then I mentioned this botanical garden that I'm building and creating, and I said, well, we could showcase a ton of different furniture styles, because we're going to have different styles of gardens. So you could have a Japanese style, you could have a Tuscan style, you could have a Hawaiian style, but learning that they were working on just local woods, high craft, and building an industry here to give people meaningful jobs, letting those who love to work with their hands and that are skilled or budding artisans in woodworking, giving them new opportunities, and they are rocking and rolling. And then, of course, the other key thing is when you're committing to using local woods, finding that local wood. And,
yes.
Where are you going to get the wood from? And of course, wanting to appropriately get it so that it's done in a way that's ethical and they're able to harvest trees that need to be taken down. And so, folks, I want to encourage you, because they're getting some amazing wood donations. So if you have a large tree, that's a challenge. And you're wondering, you don't just want to have somebody cut it down, but somebody who can really do something amazing with it. I want you to look up Mime Furniture, and it's MIME Furniture, FURNITURE.com. These are wonderful people to work with, Marty and Jeff, and reach out to them. You can also email Marty, MARTY, at mimefurniture.com. But if you have wood, or big tree, or if you're also just happening to look at some stellar, gorgeous, locally crafted, local wood furniture, you're definitely going to want to look at what they're doing. But they're doing amazing things, and they're so excited to be making connections on Maui, and they have gotten a significant order of close to 100 benches from one of our phenomenal properties on island, who sees the value in, shopping local, buying from amazing companies who are doing amazing things on island. And Hazel, I know that connection that you made while you came here, with on your own dime, then ended up serving, and then went around to meet as many companies as you can. The great impact that you made in this one company in the short time that you folks got to interact is really blossoming into, a just huge growth potential for them.
Well, and I agree with you, Pam. If you look at their website, it's amazing to see the visions that they have of what they can do with that wood. And that rocking chair that took my breath away is on the carousel of photographs on their website. But also, in talking with Marty, I know that Mime Furniture is partnering with a school on Maui, and who's interested in a vocational woodworking program. And again, lining up with what you said, Pam, not only are they creating jobs today, but they're creating woodworkers of the future. And I think that is an amazing dimension for the island of Maui to not only be able to grow this amazing wood, but then to have a legion of craftspeople that can turn that wood into beautiful, functional pieces of art to decorate our homes and our public spaces. So I think that's another dimension of what they do that I found, just absolutely amazing. They're taking the long-term view. It's something that business owners, we have all these pressures upon us as small business owners, and it's so easy to fall into the trap of short-term, and I was impressed in talking with both Jeff and Marty that they really are holding a long-term vision of what they can see that Mime Furniture can be, and it's exciting, as I said earlier, to see all the people that they are willing to involve in their dream and in their vision.
It's very broad, and you're right. I mean, it's so exciting to see that long-term view, and as you point out, so many small businesses get caught in the day-to-day that we always want to encourage them. Wait, remember the plan, the business plan, and the strategic plan. And they're keeping that ever present in their vision. And they also, I do want to also mention, because for those who know Mind's Eye Interior, which is a phenomenal furniture store in Lahaina, they also have some of the furniture there on consignment, so you can see it and sit in it and touch it. But they realize, too, that, of course, they absolutely adore Koa, as we all do, but koa is so expensive. And they wanted to use some other local hardwoods that are more affordable, so people could still have these gorgeous pieces of wooden furniture. That these are legacy pieces. You know, when you own a quality piece of wooden furniture, it lasts a number of lifetimes, and so if it's taken care of course. But these are pieces that people can pass on to their children or grandchildren. We have some of those pieces in our family, and we treasure them. And the style is just amazing. The woodworking's amazing, and you know it will last for a very long time. And so you can see it at Mind's Eye Interiors. Check out the website for sure. And and we're really thrilled. And the other thing that's happening is now interior designers are finding them, which is so exciting because now they're starting to get recognition. So designers are saying, hey, wait, we want some of these quality pieces in our clients' homes. And resorts are now saying, hey, we want these key locally made pieces in our resorts, properties, and these are storytelling pieces that connect people with our island, with our woods, with the skills that went into it, and the youth that helped to make it. I mean, just their vision is broad and grand and happening.
Yes, and that's a good message to send to all small business owners that have that grand vision and focus on what success looks like for you. So whether you're building furniture, you're providing consulting services, you have a food truck, what does success look like to you? And then work with a resource partner to help you build your action plan or build your business plan, as Pam indicated, or help you chart out your financial future for your needs in the business to get where you need to be successful. So we do have resource partners available that provide their services at no charge. Maui Small Business Development Center is one of them. We also have available in the state of Hawaii the Veteran Business Center, Outreach Center of the Pacific. They serve transitioning military and veterans. We have Women's Business Center over here on Oahu, serves the entire state, and we also have SCORE. So we have a variety of resource partners standing at the ready to help you build your village.
Absolutely. We are so blessed to have such a dynamic team at the SBA, and there are so many great resources. And that's I want to really also reinforce the Small Business Development Center, folks. You know, often when we encourage people to reach out and get expert help, you know, we find that people are so passionate in building their business, and you need that. You need that drive, and you need that energy. But people often build businesses around their passion or their expertise, and then they find there's so many elements of the business they don't know, and that's okay. But the important part is get help. We don't expect you to know everything in running a business, particularly if it's very new to you. But what you need to do is find these experts, and the Small Business Development Center, as Hazel pointed out, is paid for by the SBA and the University of Hawaii so that they can offer those services to you for free. And you've got a wealth of information on the team there, and use it. It's free. People often, when they're struggling with expenses, think, I can't hire a consultant. I don't have the money. Even if that small consultant investment is going to jettison them forward, they just sometimes can't see it. But I want you to know you've got, as Hazel shared, free resources with the Small Business Development Center located out in Kihei. They are a great wealth of information. And it doesn't mean that everybody can do everything for free. Sometimes you need a great, solid accountant, and you need some other expert advice. We're not saying that everybody can do it for free. But remember that, and talk to consultants that you need, advice from, because it's important to understand that if you continue to limp along without getting help you need, it kind of snowballs, particularly in the area of accounting and taxes and things like that. So you want to make sure that you're looking at investments, and sometimes with a consultant there are paid consultants that would be very worth your time. We just got a branding expert who's a member of the Chamber that's phenomenal and looks at branding in a very holistic way. But those are the people who can help you refine and do things differently in a way that will save you a lot of money in the long term, and
Yes.
also take off tasks that you don't want to or don't have time to do.
Yes, true. Don't forget your strategic planning. It's very important. You want to make sure that you have that vision and you get it down on paper so you can share it with other people.
Absolutely, and the more you can share that way, the more people can see that vision and find other ways to help you with your connections. So, Hazel, I've loved having you on as always. We're going to do it again, and I just want to thank you again for all of your tremendous service every day at the SBA, particularly, of course, helping me out and serving with Amber at the Maid of Maui County Festival. And I cherish our friendship, and it's great to have you on. Thank you for sharing programs. Hazel, give everybody your contact information again so that they can reach out to you if they need help or want to learn more.
Yes, the website is sba.gov. And my email is hazel.beck, BECK, at sba.gov. And thank you again, Pam. And it's my pleasure, as always, to support small business on Maui. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Have a great day, Hazel. Aloha.
Aloha.
All right. We are going to be right back after a brief message from our sponsor, Mokulele Airlines.
Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal.
Welcome back to Business Matters, and here's Pam Tumpop again.
Thank you, Gary. All right. Well, we are so excited to talk to Hazel and so excited for what is occurring with Mime Furniture. They are a relatively new but great chamber member. And as we shared, just doing very holistic things, working in the community to build relationships, build connections, and look at how they can create a long-term industry that can be sustainable, to encourage youth to learn about woodworking and crafting, and creating phenomenal products at a price point local folks can afford, and things that we can cherish. So we're very excited about that. And we are now going to talk to Council Member Tasha Kama, recently re-elected to continue to serve us in the way that she has been serving us so well. And, you know, housing has always been her passion. And she has also been somebody who is a phenomenal connector. And what she does that I find, well, one, she leads from her heart. And that's really important to me. I mean, there are so many controversial issues, and she listens to everybody. She takes in all sides. And then she really leads from her heart and makes decisions. And I always find her decisions to be very thoughtful and winning decisions. And, you know, everybody's not going to agree on everything all the time. But what I know is the process that she embodies before making that decision, and that means the world to me. And I also know that she works to unite people in their passions. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about something that you've heard us talk about on the show before, and you've heard us talk about it with her, but there are always new things happening, and that is, how can we take care of those who are unsheltered and houseless? And we are now in a crisis state, and it used to be more people who were unsheltered and houseless, and now it's workers and people who have jobs. You know, our housing prices are going up, and Tasha is on the front line. So I wanted to welcome Tasha Kama to join us this morning and talk about what we can do about this rising situation. Good morning, Tasha.
Good morning. Oh, my
I'm
gosh.
so glad to
Happy
have you on the show this
Thanksgiving.
morning. Thank you for your time, because I know how crazy busy your schedule is.
well, I'm just happy to have the opportunity to always have a conversation with you. I'm appreciative of that.
Me too. So I'd love you to share with the audience a little bit about the work you're continuing to do to explore, again, how we can address our crisis and how we can address the more urgent, looming needs that we're now facing.
Okay, when I heard a few words that you spoke just before I got on the call, and we're talking about the homeless situation, the unsheltered housing crisis, right? Okay, so, when I ran for election the very first time, that was the most important thing on my mind was the homeless situation that was starting to get worse.
Yeah.
And I didn't really realize how bad the housing crisis really was. But, when I first moved to Maui in the early 80s, I was on this committee with Stan Franco and a couple of other people. I can't remember now because it was so long ago. And we were talking about the housing issue. And at the time, Stan was saying, his daughters all live on the mainland, and he really wants them to come home to live. But, the cost of housing is so expensive that it's difficult. And we were talking about this in the early 80s when I first came to Maui. And, and I'm sitting back here, and as I was reflecting on our conversation this morning, what I think we would talk about, and we're still talking about it. It's like, how many years ago was that? Maybe about 40 years ago.
Right.
I had this conversation with Stan Franco, and I'm thinking to myself, did we not get better with what happened? That instead of getting better when we were talking about it then, it's gotten worse. So as I try to reflect on that, I tell myself, let's not look at all the stuff that happened and why, but let's look at what are we doing today to be able to alleviate some of the suffering that our people are going through. Okay, so this is where we are today. So, housing impacts everybody. Our local folks, our tourists, because, they can't find a hotel room that they can afford or, so on and so forth. It affects our newly arrivals, that I call, our new immigrants who are here from Micronesia because, climate change is impacting their homes and a lot of their islands are going underwater and stuff like that. So I think about what am I doing about it today and who am I talking to now? And so one of the things I did earlier, a few months ago, was to organize a group of people that I think had just as much passion as me to take a look at this, the unsheltered, and to look at the housing crisis and say, what can we do collectively? And although we've been talking about it and we've been really researching and talking with other people regarding the issue of what do we need? We need land. Okay, we need land. And okay, so let's talk to people about that. And let's talk about people who can talk to us about how do we alleviate the situation. Because the problem is we don't have the housing inventory. That's what the issue is. We don't have enough housing, and that's why people are on the streets. And so I think about that all the time. And so this group that I put together with some housing advocates and developers and whatnot and housing specialists is a really great group of people. And one of the things that came to my mind as we were in council a couple of weeks ago was the Commission on Homeless Solutions is now being led by a young woman who has just as much passion as we do. And one of the things she told us is that anything having to do with homeless, she would like to be included. And because as the chair of the Commission on Homelessness, she would like to know who's out there, who's doing what, so that we can be able to take a look at a more broader scale of what's out there, and we can all support each other in the work that we're doing. So just right off the top, I just want to share that with you folks, that I think the more people we include in the conversation, the better it is for all of us, because the issue of the unsheltered and the homeless, the the housing crisis belongs to all of us, and we share in this together. And it is all of our responsibilities to be able to figure out how do we help our brothers and sisters who are in these situations, irregardless of what that situation might be. But that is our kuleana, and I take that very seriously. And so what I also take a look at is the Hawaiian homeland. You know, I mean, they have like almost 200,000 acres of land, and yet they've got a list of 27,000 people waiting to get onto this land. Now, you know, something's amiss, right? When here we are, a very small group of advocates who are saying, we know this is what we need to do, and now we're looking for land. It just doesn't make sense to me when we have an entity that has the land, and we have people here who are looking for land so that we can all bring it together for the betterment of all of our people, not just for some people and not just for a particular target group of people, but for everybody. So my whole sense is I think about all of these things and try to put it together like this huge puzzle, right? And we're all pieces of that puzzle. But how do we all join hands together so that we can really complete this puzzle in terms of creating housing and shelter for all of our people here in Maui County?
Well, and you know, as you said, and I love that you said it that way, and I don't think I'd heard it that way before, but you said, no point in looking backwards, because, you know, it really doesn't matter at this point. The question is, right. Here's the crisis, what are we doing about it now? And you've united a group of people who have shared passions, and as you said, as we started to look at this, it's okay, well, you know, obviously we need land, and then we need shelter. You know, but the shelter has to go on land. So, but what we found is by bringing together passionate people, there were pieces of the puzzle that were actually right here on island. There are different types of units to address different housing needs. We found solutions that were cheaper than what the county paid for the pallet homes, and better solutions than what was paid for the pallet homes. So it's about uniting different people and bringing different people to the table, and that's something that I find, you know, you are really good at, because we've watched a lot of legislation that sort of, which is also legislation you didn't support, but there was a lot of legislation that kept coming from the council fast and furiously over the last few years, where we were demonizing developers and people who could help us because they're home builders. We were changing standards that made things more difficult for them, instead of looking at ways to help and expedite the building of housing. And then with the work you're doing, we're also saying, okay, we need the full spectrum. I mean, we've got single parents with children on the street now. I mean, it's just getting worse with rents rising and houses being sold. We've got working families that are in their cars because of these same situations. And then we've got those who are highly challenged, and you know, and sometimes they can't be in programs because they can't follow the rules. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have a safe place to sleep. And it starts there with getting them that level of help. They might have mental health issues, they might have drug and alcohol issues, but the more we can get them a safe place to sleep and a good night's sleep every night, and not worry about their things, they can lock them up, we can start helping in little ways that can, when they're ready, help move them forward. But, you know, it's finding people who are all committed and going to do something, and you've brought together a group of people who are willing to do it. And then as we start brainstorming, we keep finding the work's going to be ongoing for a very long time, but we're finding solutions and solutions in our backyard.
Yes. And so one of the things I thought about was, you know, because we need housing yesterday, right? Not tomorrow. And most of the housing that is coming forth is going to come tomorrow, right? But when tomorrow comes, we'll probably have more people who are unsheltered tomorrow than we do yesterday.
Right.
And I was just thinking to myself, is there a hotel out there that somebody is in foreclosure that we could just buy up, right, and use those 300 or 400 units, right, and convert those units, right? I mean, because they all come with the bathroom. They may not have a kitchenette or a stove, but, those you could always add into a unit, But at least that's really quick. So I'm thinking, maybe we should put a call out there to say, to the realtors and say, hey, if you all know anybody whose hotel is in foreclosure or who's putting it up on the market, please tell us, because we'd like to go buy it, And I'm thinking, the Department of Fine Homeland just received a $600 million appropriations, right, to be able to either knock off that list or decrease that list or whatever. But that's a lot of money, and they needed to spend it, I think, by 2025. We'll come up with a plan to spend it anyway. And it's like, well, it would be great, right, if there was a hotel on every island, we could just buy it up and just say, okay, put them, because if you put Hawaiian Homeland beneficiaries, you take them off of the housing market and you put them into someplace, that means it frees up their housing unit, wherever that might be.
Right.
But that's the stuff I think about all the time. My mind doesn't stop thinking; it just keeps thinking.
But see, it's those kinds of ideas. It's really, and that's what we keep wanting to engage people in. And you're on the front lines coming up with these. It's like you said, that would be an instant, a huge amount of units. And it's these out of the box ideas that we need to look at. And we've got teams of people exploring other units. And what we're finding is, once you have the land, first we have to have the land. But we also realize that you also, in putting programs together, need to address how we segment different groups. The leading group of homeless is single men. We found from the data.
Yes, it is.
And of course, we and they, there's other things besides even little tiny homes. They need maybe shared restroom facilities, and so they have a place to shower. Yeah, use the restroom, but and that's safe and managed because we need to make sure everybody's safe. But we might need to separate that group from other groups, but. To see the huge number as single men, and then the next number I think on our need list was single men with children, and then of course we've got single women with children, and that's where sort of our group's heart's passion is when we're talking about adults and children is how do we get these kids and their families in a better situation? This is such a rough life to start off in.
It is.
And this holiday season, this is a time, folks, where we really, this is something we can solve. And there are so many people who have a part of the solution.
One of the things, like I watch TV all the time, and I always see these adopt a cat, and I'm thinking, you should just adopt a family. It's not forever. You know what I mean? It could be just for a day or whatever, but short-term, right? Short-term, something, and establishing relationships. Because I think, when you think about adopting a family, right, a homeless family, it almost sounds like you got to think about that, right? What are the pros and cons? But sometimes, without you realizing it, it's a good thing.
It's very true.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised. I think people, again, there's this perception of homeless people.
Yeah.
And
very negative.
It's very negative, and generally very uninformed, and it's because they hear the scary stories, and those are true. I'm not trying to sugarcoat something.
Oh yeah, we're not sugarcoat it.
We hear the scary stories, and we're not saying those aren't true. But
even in pet adoptions, right? In pet adoptions, they kind of match up the new owner with the character, right?
Yeah.
Of the pet. And sometimes that has to happen too. It's like foster parenting too, right? They don't just put a child in any home. They want to make sure that it's safe and healthy for the child, and the child is really welcome in that home, and all of those things. So it's almost that same kind of application.
Yeah. I know there are some great
those
programs.
Conversations don't come up, right? You don't come up these conversations. Maybe we should have more of them because we
think
talk
we need
about
that.
it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think we need more programs like that. I know that during the holiday season there are different programs like the statewide program, which is I think called the Giving Tree, where you can adopt a family and they have a request of needs. When I was running United Way, I can't speak to whether they still do it, but I imagine they probably do or do coordinate something like this. Same thing where we would take in family wish lists of critical needs, and we're not talking about big. Sometimes on the wish list somebody would submit like, can we have a Nintendo? But generally it was they were asking for food and clothing and socks and maybe a board game to keep their children occupied over the holidays or things like that. And I can tell you from firsthand experience when I was running Maui United Way for a short period of time, the joy that the families who gave adopting those families, the joy in delivering that package. And sometimes they'd have us deliver it, but sometimes they would ask if they could, and we'd be like an intermediary and facilitate. But the joy, and then even we would at times when there were leftover Christmas trees from Christmas tree lots or Rotary had leftover trees, we'd get to go and deliver leftover trees, and people sometimes would say, "Hey, I'll buy that tree, but I'll sponsor it for a family in need." The excitement of the children and the family just to get a free Christmas tree because they otherwise wouldn't have had one, and then to get some free ornaments. I mean, just that magic.
It is.
Is something that this is that time, but folks, we can have that magic year round.
Yeah. And so those are the things. Well, I think about them only because I know that my dad came from a huge family, single mom, right? Lots of and they were living on Oahu when he grew up in the 20s and the 30s, And then by the time the 40s came on, he was really old enough to join the Army. But he always told us about the kind of help that they would receive. And I forgot who the agency was. He said, but when he was a kid, he used to have the social worker come to their house with a box, like the turkey and trimmings and stuff like that, Thanksgiving and then Christmas, same thing. And he never forgot that. And as he got older, he realized, and that's why when he retired and he moved here, he started to get involved in the service clubs here, the Kiwanis and the Lions and all of those, and the Salvation Army and MEO, because he realized that as a kid, he was so blessed. Yeah, but when you're a kid, you don't know, right? When you become an adult, you realize the blessing that you got, that you now have to be a blessing to someone else.
Yes.
And so that's how my dad ended up getting so intensely involved in this community, and he passed it on to us too. That as we have been blessed, that we too must be a blessing unto others.
Yeah, that's so true.
We still do that today.
Well, we really want to.
That's an idea of how to create that. Adoptive family. It doesn't have to be for a whole year. It could be for a day. It could be for
absolutely.
A week. It could be for
just
a weekend.
I just think we need a year-round program because sometimes there's so much giving during the holiday season, and then come February, people forget.
Yes. No, that's very, very true.
And we can be charitable year-round. And, of course, we're very blessed with phenomenal nonprofits in our community who are working hard and tirelessly every day to make people's lives better.
And I have a good friend, too. He wants to figure out how can he help the homeless, right? And he has all these ideas, too, but some of them just run afoul of the county or the state or some entity, and I hadn't had the time. Let me sit down and talk with him, but I will, because it seems to me that we have all these people who would like to help and participate, that we have to figure out how can they play the role that they would like to play.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. How do we engage those with ideas? And I do want to give a shout out to, our incoming leadership, because one of the exciting things in this time that really inspires me is that both on the mayoral level, of course, our current mayor, Michael Victorino, also had housing as a top priority. But we've got an incoming mayor, Richard Bisson, who sees housing as a critical priority, and an incoming governor who sees housing as a critical priority. So we're in a unique time to not kick the can down the road. Yeah.
That's what makes life worth living.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody's on the same page, on the same paragraph, on the same line, on the same word.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
well,
not
Tasha,
about in the same book. Yes.
Can we have people, if they have ideas for you, can we have them call your office and share or email you some of their ideas or some of the resources they may have?
Absolutely.
That we could get that to a place where we get it to the group or we get it to a nonprofit who maybe can help. Can you give everybody your contact information?
Yes. Yep. So my office number is 808-270-5501. And my email is tasha.hama@mauicounty.us.
That's awesome, because, for those listening in, we've mentioned a number of people who can help. We've mentioned Salvation Army. We've mentioned MEO. We've mentioned Maui United Way. There's many charitable organizations that you can help.
And the churches, too. The churches are out there doing their things, too. The Good Shepherd that does the feeding every Sunday. That hot meal that they serve. St. Teresa's Church in Kihei is still doing their 366 days, 5 days a year. Never skip a beat. We have lots of churches out there that are doing that. Feed My Sheep.
And Feed My Sheep, who provides food for a week and does their weekly food distribution. Lots of great folks. And for those who also, in addition to wanting to help this, during the holiday season, we're also looking for people who have great ideas on how we can house those who are homeless now. We always talk about a health and wellness industry, but if we're not taking care of our own, how do we promote health and wellness? So let's look at...
All right, Pam, we have about 30 seconds left here.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap up, everybody. But, Tasha, thank you for being on the show and for all that you're doing.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, and blessings this holiday season, and blessings to all. And if you have great ideas, please reach out to Council Member Tasha Kama. We're looking for other ideas on how we can house those who are unsheltered this holiday season as we move forward.